everybody, and welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving. And sorry for the little bit of a late start today. I had to go make a pickup, and it's been snowing all day. And if there's one thing that I do not fuck around with, it's driving in the snow, because yeah, physics doesn't care if you have somewhere you need to be. Physics is still going to kill you if you drive stupidly in the snow. So I figured it was better to be a live streamer going online a little bit late than the alternative. So yes, it's been snowing all day, and it's just like every fiber of my being is like, oh, so it's like cozy blanket tea time right now, right? And I had to be like, no, I'm sorry, it's get out of your cozy clothes and get into exercise gear for teaching class time. And then I was sad, but not too sad, because you know, class is fun. Hi everybody, welcome to a new week, to the last week of January. Wow. How did we get here so quickly? Like, yeah, I don't know. It feels like the month has really flown by. And not in a negative way either. But I'm honestly shocked. This is our last Perpetual Motion in January. We're on the countdown now of classes that are still going to be in this space. We've just got 4 more, including this one, and then starting next week, Tuesday, we'll be in the new space, possibly a new camera setup by then too, depending on how much I get done before then. So, yay! Oh my God, countdown! This space is emptier every time I teach. And that trend will continue. Although I will say, I was scheduled to have a move out inspection happen yesterday, and it's the second one that I've been scheduled for. Yeah, well, you don't live in a place that gets a lot of snow. I'm sorry. I'll send you pictures. Yeah, this was the second move out inspection that was scheduled. The first one was a pre-move out inspection that was scheduled back in December, like December 15th. And of course they do the thing, the leasing office does the thing where it's like, okay, they're gonna come sometime in this 4-hour chunk of time. And the one in December never happened. Nobody showed up during that chunk of time. And like a week ago, maybe 2, I was talking to someone in the leasing office, you know, finalizing some of the move out stuff, and I was like, yeah, you know, I know, like, I had this pre-move out thing scheduled and nobody ever showed up, so I just want to, you know, confirm that I have this other one scheduled for the 25th. And he was like, yeah, no, I see that it was scheduled, and I see that it never happened, and there's not a reason why, which is great, just great. But you're scheduled for the 25th, sometime between the hours of 1 and 5. And again, nobody showed up. And I'm just like, look, I feel more comfortable this way. I would rather not have strangers in my home in a pandemic. Like, you know, I'm fine from that perspective, but like, stop scheduling these things if you're not going to show up. Stop telling me that they are important parts of the move out process if you're not going to honor them. If you don't give a shit about them, that's fine. I don't give a shit about them either. I'm gonna clean, and you know, the space is going to look like a normal apartment that's been lived in for a year and a half. But just don't schedule this shit and then just ghost me. Like, seriously. So that was annoying. But then I got snow today, and snow is pretty. And I bought a cake. Cake is good. Sometimes you just have to treat yourself. I've definitely been like hovering on the edge of just completely overwhelmed by a lot of stuff and a lot of good stuff too. But I've been feeling that a lot, and so just trying to remind myself to treat myself. And today that was getting a shitty $5 cake, and I don't regret it at all. Nor do I regret putting on these exercise clothes, even though they are not as comfy as the clothes I was wearing, because it means that we get to do perpetual motion. Hi, if you're new to class, this is Perpetual Motion, the class where we never stop moving, and I mean that literally. So where normally in a class we would finish a workout timer and we would take a break, stand around, drink some water. For today's class, when the workout timer finishes, we go into what we call our active rest exercise, which for this class is cross jacks. And we do that, and then we start a new timer and we go into the new exercises. So basically from the time that we begin the warm-up to the time the last timer goes off at the end of class, we are exercising the whole time. So, you know, you need to be, I call it a half marathon of HIIT classes, is my other tagline for it. And you really need to be paying attention to how you manage your energy. Just like if you're running a half marathon, you don't want to sprint out of the gate and then have nothing left in the tank halfway through, okay? So as something to keep in mind if you are new. If you're new, what I say for all of my classes, don't focus on giving me 100%. Focus on giving me the bare minimum, and that is starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. And if you just focus on those 3 things, you will have a great workout, I promise, okay? You do not need to focus on anything else to get a good workout, and you won't completely overload yourself and never want to come back again, which is really not my goal. But yeah, I know we're getting started a little late, so let's get going. So let's do our pre-class checklist. Everybody, make sure you have your water in whatever vessel makes sense to you. Oh yeah, water is good. I've definitely been doing a better job of hydrating since I just leave this out and refill it when it's empty. But today I defaulted towards tea a lot because I wanted the warm beverage and I'm like comfy and cozy, and like tea's not super dehydrating, but it's not as hydrating. It's just doing water. So make sure you've got plenty of water. You're in your home. You could literally line up a row of pint glasses with water if you needed to, or use a water bottle, or use a giant mason jar. Like, just have something with water in it. Make sure you've got your comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor, and if you use a fitness wearable, we can turn them on right now to high-intensity interval training. If you don't have one, totally fine. It's not at all a required tool for class. It's just, you know, I use one and I like it, and I know that sometimes I forget to turn it on at the beginning of class. So this is as much a reminder for me as for anyone else. But yes, it's time. It's time for class. Woo! All right, so we are going to begin with our warm-up. My glasses are filthy right now. I'm going to just leave those over there for now. We're going to begin with our warm-up, which is the same warm-up that I do across all of my classes, which is really nice. Gives us a nice through line. So if this is your first time taking any class with me, just pay attention, because this will be something that you find in all of my classes. And if this is one of your first, but not the first, yeah, you already know the warm-up. All right. So we're going to start on our mats, on our backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And when we hear the horn go, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. And as a reminder, once we start moving, we do not stop for the rest of class. Hoorah! So make sure, especially in the warm-up, that you are treating it as a warm-up and not as something where you need to be going full tilt, because you definitely don't want to be going full tilt yet. I've got just a wide assortment of just on the edges of my eye line right now. The detritus of moving. And I will say that this is probably the most relaxed I have ever felt in a move, which is really nice. Really nice and satisfying. But but there's still definitely that tornado feeling to everything where you know, I like most of the stuff honestly has been moved out, or there's a very clear and easy plan for getting it out, but but there's still a lot of small pieces. What I've said during other moves is that I am convinced that there are move focused gnomes, and their only job is when you're moving and you're trying to pack everything up and get everything organized, their only job is to manifest random crap around your house that you didn't know that you had. And that's their only job. And they do it remarkably well. Honestly, they haven't been nearly as active on this particular move, which is nice, but I do still remember packing up my last place out on the East Coast before moving out to Colorado, and just oh God, it legitimately felt like every time I turned around there was some new, totally random, uncategorizable thing lying on the floor being like, hey, you haven't packed me yet. I was like, I don't even know what to do with you. Like, what is your purpose? What am I supposed to do here? And you know, that just gets you to a completely overwhelmed state of mind. By the end of that particular move, I had not slept more than 1 hour in the previous 2 days, and I was storing things that weren't coming out here immediately in the basement of some friends, but they lived like an hour's drive away from me. And so I was just like loading up the car and driving an hour, and unloading the car and driving an hour, and loading up the car and driving an hour. And like by the end, you know, it was like 6 in the morning, and I had to go catch the shuttle to the airport. And again, hadn't slept more than 1 hour in the previous 48, and legitimately I had like 1 box left, and it was all like, it was all stuff that didn't make sense to leave behind, but that I wouldn't be able to bring on the plane. So it was like bottles of shampoo and you know, the remnants of bottles of alcohol and stuff like that. And I was so sleep deprived that I legitimately just put the box on a street corner near campus at the time. I was catching the shuttle near the campus of the university that I went to all those years ago, and I just left this box on a street corner. And I was like, well, some college student will probably have a use for this stuff. And then I got on the shuttle and never looked back. But I was just so totally, there's not even a word for it. I was just completely wiped out. And I did not have any capacity for decision making left. I was just like, okay, this is going here, because I don't have the energy that it would take to make even a slightly better decision on that. Oh gosh. I'm sure we all have at least one of those moves. I feel like a lot of my moves in my like 20s were marked by that kind of like panic, you know, where like nobody tells you the things that you're supposed to, that you will need to know to pay attention to when you rent your first place. And like there's a lot of stuff that people just expect you to know or to think about, and it's not actually stuff that necessarily is particularly intuitive. So I still remember, like, I still remember, you know, the leasing office at my first place and the sort of frustration of the woman who ran it when she was like, well, you have to have a move-out inspection. And I was like, huh, what's that? I'm leaving town today. What are you talking about? And, you know, then had this person come in and be like, okay, you need to like dust these windowsills before you move out. And me being like, wait, really? What's going on? But it's like, it's stuff that I had never had to consider before, you know? And it's stuff that, a lot of stuff about being an adult, a lot of the sort of like ground level practical things about being able to, you know, rent a place or manage taxes or things like that. It's not that it's not common sense, it's just that there is an assumption when you get a hang of all of that stuff, that it's so common sense that people just can figure it out without anyone telling them. And like that's where we run into problems. When we're like, oh, this is super obvious. Like I don't have to talk about it because everyone will just know. Well, a lot of times people don't just know. And then you end up with situations like that where I scheduled a like super last minute move out inspection because I was literally leaving the country the next day. I was like, well, I won't be around to do this later, so if you're insisting on doing it, you can come over right now while I'm finishing selling the last of my furniture on Craigslist. I used to use Craigslist a lot. Anybody still use Craigslist? I know it's still out there, so I feel like it must still get used. It's so interesting. I have it very much associated in my head with my 20s, and I don't think I've used it since then. I don't think that I've even opened up Craigslist since then. But yeah, sound off if you still use Craigslist. Who knows? Maybe I'm the weird one. Maybe I just fell away from this like really great source of stuff because I felt like it was for people in their 20s. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Big yawn. That's the thing about snow days. They really do bring out our hibernation instincts in a major way. And I definitely, like, I had to pull a blanket back out of a half-packed tub because I was like, no, I really need right now to be snuggled under a blanket with a nice warm mug of tea and watching cost-tube videos on YouTube. That is the comfort that I need for today. And, you know, it'll be easy enough to pack this blanket back up and get it over to the house. So it's not like I'm pulling apart hours and hours of work to get at this thing, but I just, yeah, it was snowy weather behavior. You don't really get a choice. You just have to go with it. I know I'm talking about snow a lot, and I know not everybody's getting snow, although it does seem like a lot of people have been getting snow, or at least its cousin hail. I saw several videos from like Texas over the last couple of days of people getting hail and snow, which is kind of wild. And I always appreciate winter weather, just in general. I feel like the winter does a really good job of reminding us of how important rest is, because you end up with a lot of like enforced rest, right? Where it's like, well, I legitimately just can't go anywhere right now. So I guess I really need to settle in and just let myself be present in this space and chill, and observe the world around me and observe my own personal comfort and enjoy that feeling. And y'all know that I don't think we do a good job of paying attention to that most of the time. So anything that reminds us that we really should pay attention to our presence in our bodies and in these moments in time is a good thing. And I think snow does a great job of that. And tomorrow, it'll be lovely. It'll be sunny out. You know, if I want to go for a walk, I can. That's a nice thing about Colorado, is you get a good amount of snow, and then, you know, a lot of it stays in the places where it's still really pretty, but it melts away or is easily removed away from sidewalks and trails and roadways and stuff, so that you can still get out there and take advantage of the outdoors without needing too many extra accoutrements, you know? Like, you never have the experience of, okay, it snowed yesterday, so now I need to make sure that I'm wearing my yak tracks because it's gonna be super icy or something like that. Like, Colorado snow melts pretty efficiently most of the time, which is definitely something I appreciate, because I feel like we then get the best of both worlds with snow, where we get the pretty and the snuggly, and we also get the ability to move through the world like normal the next day. So that will be nice, especially since I have a move to finish up, and definitely need to be able to move through the world and carry boxes and furniture and all that jazz into the new house. I'm gonna have to get a shovel. I'm gonna have to like shovel the sidewalk and driveway. I've never had to do that before. I've rented apartments rather, my entire adult life. And you know, when you're in an apartment, generally the plowing and shoveling and all that jazz is taken care of. This is going to be my first experience of having to take care of it myself. Woohoo! All right, we're on our final part of the warm-up. So when that horn goes off, we will begin our active rest exercise, which is cross jacks. So get ready and immediately into cross jacks. So they're very similar to jumping jacks. Just jump your feet out and in, crossing one in front of the other, out and in, switching whichever foot is front. I do the same with the arms. There are a couple of modifications. I've had students who do the arms but just kick the feet forward. I'm fine with that. I've had students just do sort of a back and forth jog. I'm fine with that too. Whatever keeps you moving. That's the main important thing. And make sure that you're still drinking water, okay? Recognizing that it's a little more complicated when you're jumping around to drink water at the same time. And no, I don't want you to stop moving just so you can drink water. But if you've ever, again, if you've ever run a road race, then you have learned the subtle art of drinking water and not spilling it all over yourself while continuing to move. Oh yeah. So, a good warm-up, my friends. Let's dive right into it, I think. So we're gonna start with an AMRAP set. So I'm gonna put on a 5-minute timer. We'll have 3 exercises, and when the timer starts, you're just gonna cycle through all 3 exercises at your own pace. There's not going to be specified intervals. I'm not gonna tell you when to move, so you get to move through the 3 exercises on your own terms. The only requirements, yes, you do have to do all 3 of them, and you have to keep cycling through them. You don't get to cut one out as you go forward. And 2, again, this is a perpetual motion set in a perpetual motion class, so you have to keep moving the whole time, all right? Those are the 2 requirements. So, our exercises. All right. We are going to start with putting my puzzle pieces back together. Now, we're going to start with side-to-side superheroes. So, lying on our sides and lifting our arms and legs off the floor. So to do that, I really have to engage my obliques, particularly to lift the legs up. Then I roll over my back, so now my entire abdominals are engaged, and up onto the other side, and back to the first side. And we're just going back and forth, and back and forth. You don't need to stay in a straight line when you're up on your side. I usually sort of bend myself into a U shape, and especially if you're trying to get a little speed in there, you don't want to be trying to balance in a straight line on your hip. It's not gonna go well. Second is gonna be turtle burpees. So we just did a regular burpee. Now we're gonna do a turtle burpee. So we start with the classic up under the shoulders, then up under the feet. Plant those hands, jump back into your plank, wave push up, jump the feet forward, jump up, and repeat over and over again, okay? And then our third is going to be, oh God, don't worry, everything's fine. That's all fine. Our going to be mat jumps, side to side mat jumps. So starting on one side of your mat, standing on the same leg. So if I'm on the left side of my mat, I'm on my left leg. Right leg is crossed behind me. All of my weights on my left leg, and I'm going to use that to power a jump all the way to the other side of my mat. Touch a hand down for balance, not to put weight on it, and then return to the first side. And we just go back and forth. All right? So, those are our three. I'm flustered now with my little whiteboard falling on the ground. Those are our three. Side to side superheroes, then turtle burpees, then side to side mat jumps. So, everybody on your mats, remember, no intervals, just as soon as the timer goes, we go down from our cross jacks and begin with our side-to-side superheroes. So, again, we were talking earlier about how to start on time and stop on time as part of the bare minimum for doing class. And in perpetual motion, that's always a little bit trickier because we don't have really good stop time, you know? It's not like with the Tabata where we hear that horn, we're like, okay, now I get a 10 or a 15-second rest before I have to do something else. So what we focus on most when we're doing a class like this or just a standard perpetual motion interval, because I do have them in classes that are not the Tuesday class. What we focus on is minimizing the transition time from one exercise to the other. So that horn is no longer telling us to stop. It's telling us that it's time to transition. And we want that transition to be as smooth and as quick as possible so that we are not losing precious time that we could be doing said exercise. So you want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, you know which exercise you need to go into next, and you have a sense of how you are going to handle that transition, okay? So if I'm here doing side-to-side mat jumps, then I'm like, okay, what's the best way to transition from this exercise down to those side-to-side superheroes? Well, depending on which direction, hey, we're halfway through, which direction I want my head oriented. So maybe I'll just go right down from here and start doing the exercise. But that's the focus point. That's the big thing for today in terms of starting on time and stopping on time. The AMRAP set isn't a great example because we don't have set intervals, so you're really self-directing in a way that you aren't going to be in some of the true perpetual motion sets later in class. But yeah, the ending time and the starting time are essentially the same, which is very different from when we're doing Tabatas, where the ending time is, okay, cool, I'm stopping doing this exercise, giving myself a little bit of a break, and then the starting time is, okay, I am starting this next exercise. We don't have things broken out that neatly today. So you need to be constantly aware that your starting time, your stopping time for your current exercise and your starting time for your next exercise are basically exactly the same. And you need to be prepared for that. All right? Whee! Oh, the fun of turtle burpees. Making sure that you are keeping your shoulders nice and stable for those turtle burpees, particularly because we're planting our hands and then we're jumping our feet backwards. So for a little bit, we are guiding the entire weight of our body with our shoulders. So we need to make sure that our shoulders are strong and stable so that they can manage that, okay? So very important. Hey, and now, no matter where you were, you go right into cross jacks once again. Oh, hooray. Yeah, how's class going? Pretty good, I think. Ooh. Oh, golly. Yeah, water. Water is a good thing. Water is a good thing. I talk about it all the time because we're bad at hydrating. So, you know, I feel like it's rarely a bad idea for me to emphasize how important water is. And look, getting yourself water provides nice opportunities for you to get to stand up during the day, as do the resulting bathroom breaks. So yeah, hydrate. It helps to remind you to stand and keep healthy. And particularly when we're working out like this, you know, we're going through a lot of fluids and you need to make sure that you're replenishing that. Alrighty? Okay. Speaking of traditional perpetual motion sets, it's time to do one. We're going to do 1 minute work intervals, okay? 3 exercises, 3 times through, 1 minute work intervals. So it's going to be a nice intense one. Yeah. The first 2 exercises are basically the same exercise, just first one side then the other. So it's going to be our lunge to a knee pull, okay? So taking that nice lunge position and both arms extended out in front of you, and we're going to stand all the way up to that front leg, bringing the elbows back, bringing the knee up, and then return to that lunge and go back and forth and back and forth. And then for our second interval, we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then our third exercise is going to be chaturanga to a downward dog. I'm not a yoga instructor, just starting with that caveat. So from our front plank position, going down as if into a push-up, when we're almost to the floor, leaving our hips by the mat, extending our arms, look up towards the ceiling, then push against your hands into the downward dog position, back to that plank, and repeat, all right? So those are our 3 lunges with the knee pull and chaturanga to a downward dog. So, ooh, that's not enough repetitions. There we go. All right. So everybody's cross-jacking away, whatever version of it you're doing, and then we go immediately in. So one of the things to really focus on for this exercise is making sure that your core is engaged and is a part of the exercise, all right? Because it's helping with everything. It's helping you to maintain your balance as you stand up, and as you then go back into the lunge, it's helping you to pull that knee up towards your chest. And it's basically just really helping you to control all of the components of the motion. So if you try to do this and don't focus in on your core participating in the exercise, and then try again with your core engaged the whole time, you will absolutely feel a difference, okay? And feel free to test that out, to just go, okay, let me see what it feels like to do this where I'm not really consciously engaging my abdominal muscles versus when I am. And I am willing to bet you will notice a difference. And you'll also start to notice that when you start to lose the form of the exercise, one of the first places it goes is that core engagement. So something really good to focus on and pay attention to, because our cores are just an incredible stabilizing muscle group. They do so much work in basically everything that we do, you know. And you'll hear me talk about it a lot, because even the exercises that are not specifically core focused exercises, 9 times out of 10, they are still going to benefit immensely from core engagement and stabilization. So always pay attention to that. That's really one of the most critical muscle groups in the body, in my estimation, just because it assists with so much that we do. But it's also a muscle group that it's really easy to ignore. And so another reason why I focus in on it so much during class is just because it is really easy to not pay attention to that core engagement, to not actually be using the abdominals to lift and to drive movement and exercises. And, you know, then we get to this place where we're like, well, I never feel anything when I'm doing these ab exercises, you know, or, oh, my balance is just really bad. And it's like, well, or your balance could be fine, but your body isn't controlled because you haven't engaged and stabilized your trunk with the abdominals. So yeah, it's a good muscle group to pay attention to give some love to. Don't worry, we do plenty of core workouts in this class. So if you're there like, oh my God, I don't feel like I have a very strong core, it's all right. We will do so many things. I've got some new exercises for next month that I'm really, really excited about. And a lot of them are new abdominal exercises, because you know, your friend is always looking for new and interesting core workouts. Oh my goodness. All right, so you're back to those chaturangas. This is our second time through them. So check in on that form always. Check in on your form when you're starting anew, okay? Even if you've already done the exercise, especially if you've already done the exercise, because you know, we're going along and our muscles are gaining fatigue because they're being worked, you know. They're not just relaxing, they're working pretty hard. And as we get fatigued, it becomes more difficult for us to maintain form. It becomes more difficult for us to concentrate on what we're doing, and the muscles themselves just get tired enough that they're not necessarily able to consistently maintain the engagement and strength and stability that they need to maintain. So always check back in as you get started with an exercise and make sure that you are still performing it correctly. And if you're not, pull yourself back in line, reset, okay? Again, I've talked about this so much, but form is the foundation of everything that we do. And I would much rather have you give me 2 perfect reps and then just hang out the rest of the time than 20 reps in a row with poor form. Because what you're doing in that instance is you're training your body incorrectly. And so when you get tired, you begin to default to the muscle memory patterns that you have in the unconscious processing segments of your brain. And if you've been over here training yourself in bad form, then as you get tired, that is what you're going to start to default to. And it can also just set you up for injury, you know? It sets you up if you're not supporting and stabilizing different joints, different muscle groups the way you're supposed to be, then you could very, very easily be setting yourself up for an injury, and that is going to do a lot more damage to your long-term mobility than taking the extra time to focus in on learning your form correctly. All right? So always focus in on form. And now we're back to our cross jacks. Woo! Good job, everybody. Make sure you're drinking your water. I know I could use some. Oh yeah. Nice. So, next, we're going back to our AMRAP. So, another 5-minute timer with 3 exercises, and you'll cycle through them on your own pace, just making sure that you're doing all of them. Even the ones that you aren't crazy about, you still need to do them. I promise you'll thank me for it in the end. All right. So, here are our 3. First one is going to be a lunge to the hand or elbow. We're doing a lot of lunging today. This one is going to be more of an active stretch. So we're going to go back into that nice deep lunge and then do one of 3 things. Either just come down to have a hand on the floor. That's 1. 2 is hand to the floor and then get yourself down to the elbow. 3 is bypass the hand and go to the elbow. And then we stand up and other side. And we just alternate between the two. So we're not like chilling in that pose for a ton of time. We're just getting set up, getting down to the hand or elbow, standing back to the front, and going to the other side. Second, hey, you know what this is. Shramps. So moving ourselves back and forth along our mats by engaging the core. So I create this rounded shape that I can rock with, and then moving by first moving shoulders, then hips, shoulders, then hips, shoulders, then hips, and then change directions, shoulders, then hips, and we just go back and forth along our mats the whole time. Not the whole time, but you get the point. And then third, sorry, I'm just confused as to how I'm setting myself up. Third, we're just doing a nice front plank. So I've got my shoulders directly over my elbows, and I'm creating that nice perpendicular line between my upper arm and the floor, and then just a nice straight line of the rest of my body, all right? Hiya. So, lunge to the hand or elbow, and then shrimps, and then front plank from the elbows. So, AMRAP timer, so again, there'll be one horn midway, just to let you know that you're midway. So, as soon as you hear the timer go off, we will go into the exercises. Woo! So, again, talking about that core engagement, as I'm standing back up to the front, I really want to make sure that my abdominals are engaged. That helps to bring my entire leg back up to standing, right? As opposed to just sort of letting everything roll and go limp. And then I don't have as much control over the weight of my leg, over the direction it goes in. So going down and then whoop, and I really just engaged, contracted all those core muscles, and that helps me to stand back up and to take some of the effort off of my foot and ankle. So anytime that we're balancing, we're trying to focus any micro adjustments, micro movements that need to be made to maintain the balance. We're trying to do those in the ankle and the foot only. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a pretty small surface area. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the rest of our muscle groups are doing everything they can to stabilize and to pull us forward so that our foot and ankle don't have to do that much. So my core helps to pull that back leg along. My quad and the front leg helps to keep all of this nice and strong and stable. We pull up to standing. We go down to the other side. Never forget the power of exhaling on the effort. Nice dramatic breathing. So in this case, the effort, as it were, is standing back up to that standing position. So a nice big dramatic exhale can help to stabilize you, can help to energize you, can just provide a nice mental trick, as well as reminding you of the importance of breathing. Hey, we're halfway through and I've only focused on lunges, which are an important thing to focus on, to be fair. But I love shrimp so much. And I love front planks so much too, which is something I don't think I ever thought I would say before this past year. And definitely strengthening my shoulders through both teaching and physical therapy for my shoulder injury has just revolutionized a lot of exercises that I used to really dislike. And you know, there's something really cool about that. There's something really cool about going back to an exercise that you never felt particularly good on and just going, oh man, I have got that down. It's fascinating. I look back at form videos that I recorded for clients, barely more than a year ago. Just short videos to make sure that they understood all of the exercises I was assigning. And my own form has improved tenfold since I recorded those videos. The last of which I think I was recording almost exactly a year ago, in January of 2020. And just looking back at them and going, well, on the one hand going, I need to re-record all of these, but on the other hand, just being able to see just the improvements that I've been able to make in my own fitness because of this class and because of all of you, because you have been inspiring me and keeping me going just as much as I hope that I've been inspiring you. And I cannot thank you enough for that. All right, back to your cross checks, my dears. It's truly amazing. But yeah, it's an interesting thing having, video evidence of improvements in my own fitness and my own form. I feel like for some people that could be a really useful tool. I know a lot of people do like to video themselves when they're trying new exercises, and if that feels like something that would be helpful to you, everybody's got camera phones. Just set your phone up to record while you're doing something. Absolutely. If that is not an approach that motivates you, do not ever feel pressure to do it, okay? It's one of the things that's so important to remember. Sorry, large green hair. Where could that have come from? It's just really important to remember that we all have different processing approaches. We all have different learning approaches. And what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for another person. Not everybody is going to like my teaching style and my training style. And that is totally fine. Some people do really get more motivated with a little bit more intensity, a little bit more of that boot camp approach. And if that's your jam, go for it. Some people get motivated by being able to, track through video or photographs their progress. And if that works for you, awesome. But always remember that it's important for you to figure out what works for you, not what works for your friend, not what works for me, what works for you, okay? And, when I teach, I obviously prioritize what works for me because, well, it's my class. But it's important for you to pay attention to what motivates you and what makes you feel excited to keep going and to learn how to seek those opportunities out. Again, we want to find the things that you enjoy and can stick with. That is the most important thing. All right. Another perpetual motion set, my friends. 1 minute intervals, just like last time. First exercise is going to be a held wide squat. So just like in the warm-up, except we don't get to put our hands on our knees. So we're just taking this position. We're pushing our forearms together like this. You need to make sure that you're engaging the muscles in the back of your hip sockets to pull those knees back, keep them nice and safely over your feet, okay? Second exercise, side to side planks, one of my faves for shoulder strengthening. So starting from our front plank position, shoulders directly over the wrists, let the heels come down to one side, come up under that arm, other arm straight up towards the ceiling, hold for a sec, let the judges see it, then back through the center to the other side, and we're just going back and forth, okay? And third, flying chickens, woo! All right, so thumbs at chest height. If you wear a bra, you can just hook your thumbs behind your bra straps, and we're jumping over and over again, so elbows flapping up and down, feet come apart in the air, but land back in the same place where they started, okay? So held wide squat, side to side planks, and flying chickens with bonus tapping from my whiteboard. Oh my goodness. All right, get ready. We're still doing our cross jacks, and we are prepared to go directly into that held squat. So we have our feet turned out for this, and that's an important part. And what I mean, I recognize that turning your feet out is more dance terminology. So it means that my toes are sort of pointing away from each other towards the walls as far as they can go. If you are not able to hold your knees safely over your feet with your feet turned out that wide, turn them in a little bit, okay? Again, just like when we're doing squats, if you're not able to squat down and stand back up without your knees caving in, you want to narrow that stance. It's the same thing for this, all right? Not everybody is able to maintain this knee positioning here with their feet turned out this far. So if you're struggling with that, if your knees keep trying to cave forward, then don't turn your feet out as far. Oh yeah, come on Matt, get out of my way. My apologies to anyone taking class named Matt. I did not mean you. I meant my yoga mat, which is just, you know, living its best life, right? It probably is. These poor mats have gone through much of their lifespan not really getting used. Because I think I've said this before, I've never particularly managed to maintain a long-term yoga practice. I have tried on several occasions, which is how I've ended up with the various pieces of equipment, but it is not a fitness activity that I gravitate towards on the long term. And so, you know, I would get these mats and then they would just sort of lay around not getting used because I would stop going to the yoga classes and I wouldn't really have anything else to use them for. So teaching has been really great for them because they're actually getting some use, but it also means that they are running a little ragged because they're old, and you know, just because they haven't been used a ton doesn't mean that they haven't still been aging. So, poor things. At some point this year, I will probably try to upgrade all of my equipment. Oh man, what a good class. What a way to start off our weeks. I do love this class. And it's really fun for me this week because I'm coming off a rest week. So I've definitely got some extra workout energy that I'm enjoying getting the opportunity to use. So, woo woo woo. That's of course one of the beautiful things about rest weeks is the fact that they really hopefully re-energize us so that when we come back to working out, our body's like, oh, thank God, I got that rest that I've been clamoring for, and I got to, take care of myself and heal some stuff, and now I'm ready and raring to go. That's the goal of the rest week, and don't ever let anybody convince you that they're not important, because they really are. They really are. We cannot work out 5 to 7 days a week, 365 days a year, all right? It is not good for you. Too much of a good thing, and exercise is a good thing, but it is absolutely possible to overdo it. And as we've said, if you do not listen to your body's requests for rest, then eventually your body's just going to go, fine, I'll do it myself. And generally the ways that it does that are illness or injury. And both of those get far more in the way of our fitness practice than just taking the damn rest week in the first place. So it's good for me to remind myself too, because we all get into those grooves fitness-wise, and we're like, what? But I'm feeling like I'm really getting there, and I don't want to pull back. But when you start to identify the signs of overtraining and the signs of that fatigue, you will get very good at recognizing when you really need to give yourself a break. I had to look back at the paper. I was like, what's the first exercise again? Where am I? What's my name? What's happening here? It's all right. I'm allowed to be a little bit spaced out this week. There is obviously plenty going on, and I will be very relieved when this week is over and I can start focusing on putting a new house together, which I do want to make sure gets done in a timely manner, because I know we've all had the experience of moving into a new place and then just, you're living out of boxes for the next 6 months. And I definitely do not want that to happen, but it will also be really, really nice to know that I can go at my own pace, because there's not a deadline for getting fully unpacked. And that's going to be really relaxing. Not that this move process hasn't been relatively relaxing, as relaxing as a move process ever is. But yeah, I am definitely looking forward to just being like, all right, here is home, and now I get to just focus on making it feel like home. And, you know, step one is going to be streaming office. Setting up a wonderful little space for class where I don't need to worry about breaking down my lights every few days, where I don't need to worry about moving the mats out of the way. I can really just make a space that is mine. And that is going to be so fun. And I can't wait to have y'all on that journey. Ooh. Back to your cross jacks, but not for too long, I promise. Cross jack away. We're gonna do calf awareness, and that's gonna finish us out. So you're cross jacking. As soon as the timer goes, you will balance flat on one foot like this. So one of the wonderful things about calf awareness is that it helps us to recenter, all right? We just did a minute of flying chickens. That's a lot of flying chicken. So take the opportunity, make sure you're slowing down your breath, which helps to slow down your heart rate, and you're really just grounding right here. You're balanced, flat on one foot, and as always, and as we talked about earlier, we are doing all of the micro adjustments that we need. All right, switch feet. All of the micro adjustments that we need to maintain the balance should be done from our foot and our ankle. So now that you've brought your breathing down a little bit and your heart rate down, it's time to start focusing in on those stabilizing muscle groups, okay? So starting with the core, that brings the torso in line as one nice solid piece. Then the glutes on the working leg, that ties this whole thing together. Same with the quads on the working leg. So now everything from the knee up is one solid piece and not a bunch of disparate limbs. So by the time we get down to the ankle, it really doesn't have to do much, okay? When the timer goes off again, we're going to switch back to that first foot, and we're going to balance up on the ball of the foot. So same as before, but a much tougher balance. You will probably fall out of it and have to reset. So I want you to make sure that if you are up there balancing on the ball of the foot and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fall out, don't just let yourself fall out. Try and control bringing that heel down. Reset, back up, check on those stabilizing muscle groups. They are just as important on this side. We still want to be managing the balance from the foot and the ankle, but recognizing that when we're bouncing up on the ball of our foot, that's an even smaller surface area. So there will probably be more wobbling, and that's fine. All right, other side. You will also most likely discover that one side is better or worse at balance than the other, and that is totally normal. We are not symmetrical creatures. So for me, my left side is generally much stronger and more stable at balance, because I used to sprain my right ankle a lot, so my connective tissue is not as strong in that ankle, and so it's just not as strong at balancing as my left side is. All right, when the timer goes off again, we will switch back to that first foot, and we'll be going back and forth from going up on the ball of the foot and then rocking back on the heel, okay? So, looks like this. Up on the ball, back on the heel. Up on the ball, back on the heel. And we're just going back and forth between those two positions, okay? Up on the ball, back on the heel. Up on the ball, back on the heel. You really want to make sure your core is engaged right now. Check back in on all of those stabilizing muscle groups and make sure that they are still participating, okay? It will make a world of difference. You will definitely feel the change between just sort of letting it all chill and getting those muscles involved, okay? And remember to breathe. It's a little harder for me because I have to talk the whole time. All right, other side, same thing. Now when we rock back on the heel, I always let my butt come out behind me. I'm not trying to keep my body straight up and down because that would really intensify the stress on your shin, and we don't need to do that, okay? Your shin's getting more than enough of a workout without that. So just let yourself sort of rock backwards a little bit. You'll notice I push the puzzle pieces out of the way. It's because they're really flexible and soft, and I just sink into them, and when I rock back onto my heel, it doesn't actually feel like I'm balanced at all because I've just sunk into the mat. So I try to go for a more stable surface. All right, last thing, both feet on the floor. We are rocked back on the heels, not ankles, heels. And just keep those toes off the ground until you hear that final timer. So we balance as long as we can. When you're like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna fall out, don't fall out. Shift and balance. Check in on that core. Check in on those glutes. And we're just trying to chill and keep those toes off the ground. So really getting our shins involved, making sure our core is still participating, breathing, not forgetting to breathe, balancing as much as we can, shifting around only when we can't help ourselves. And you're done. Woo! Oh, good job. Just roll over the top of that foot just a little bit to get a little bit of a stretch going up through the shin. And other side, just go back and forth. That helps to even things out a little bit. Oh my goodness. Wow. Good class, my friends. All right. Man, very good class. That was so fun. The first class back after a good rest week is so fun. You just like feel like I have all this energy, and just felt really on top of my game tonight, which is always an exciting feeling, and I hope that you were experiencing that as well. And if you weren't, don't worry, we don't always experience that. We sadly do not always feel on top of our game, but you showed up, you got on your mat, you did the workout, and that means that you are on top of your game in terms of taking care of your fitness and your health, and that's really exciting. That's super exciting. Now make sure to keep drinking water. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Water, super important, as is refueling ourselves after exercise. So try to make sure that you have something to eat within 30 minutes of finishing class, all right? Because your the energy system that we use primarily in this class takes it takes up to 24 hours to fully replenish. And we have another class tomorrow afternoon. So you want to make sure that you have replenished those energy stores enough that you have plenty of energy and excitement for our weekly cardio class, right? So, yeah, you want to make sure that you are refueling, rehydrating, and generally just patting yourself on the back. Look, perpetual motion is no joke, okay? This is an intense class, and, you know, obviously, I talk about making sure that you're managing your energy, okay? You know, and I use the metaphor of the half marathon, which I think is a pretty apt metaphor, but it doesn't change the fact that it's an intense class. That is a lot of time to be moving and to be doing this type of movement, you know? And you crushed it. You crushed it. You absolutely did a phenomenal job, and you should be super proud. Absolutely. Yes, you. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself post-class. And that is, yeah, refueling, hydrating, taking an awesome shower, getting into comfy clothes. I mean, it's 7:10 where I am, so I'm definitely getting into PJs, just enjoying the rest of my evening. Yeah, just making sure that you are taking care of yourself post-workout. All right. Wow. We've got 3 more classes this week, which also happen to be the final 3 classes in this space. Holy crap. This space, man. It's the only nostalgia I think that I will really carry with me, is that this is the space where I started this channel. And, you know, that's been such an exciting journey for me. I'm still not going to miss it. I'm excited to have a studio that I can work out in, and a space that I can really sort of purpose set up for streams. But yeah, like, if there's one thing that this tiny apartment has taught me, is that you truly do not need a gym membership or a lot of fancy equipment in order to get a really amazing workout and to take care of yourself and to stay fit and stay healthy. As long as you have a mat-sized space on the floor, you can do an amazing workout. And if you have a mat-sized space on the floor and an internet connection, you can do one of my workouts. And you know, I love having you along for that. So yeah, 3 more of them this week. Tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time is Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. Then Friday at 6 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house, assuming that I have anything left over here to work out with. I've got the laundry detergent bottle and my backpack with books in it. So just gonna have to make do with those things. It'll be fine. It's fine, everybody, it's fine. And then Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, which is our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. We will say farewell to this space permanently. Maybe I'll open a beer at 10 in the morning. You don't know. I mean, hey, I feel like that would be a totally legit choice on my part. So I do hope that you join for any or all of those classes, because we have a great time here. A lot of fun. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all of the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. And once I'm in the new house and I've got the office set up, I'm going to be starting to put up content there on a more regular basis, form videos and our warm-up sequence and some stretching sequences and stuff like that. So please do head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me in making these streams, I do have a coffee account, Blanche Case Fitness. Your donations are always very much appreciated. They help me keep doing this. And if you want to grow this community with me, get us to that final metric to Twitch affiliate, then please do follow the channel. Tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome class stream. I stream 4 days a week. We have such a great time, and just come hang out. Even if you're not able to work out that day, come hang out and chat. We have a great time, and I love it, and I can't wait to do more in 2021. So yeah, let's all make sure that we get some dinner, get some more water, have a good shower, and I will see you all back here tomorrow night. Mwah. Have a great night.